Hello and welcome to Enough, Stop Bullying in El Paso County. The show is dedicated to putting an end to bullying. I launched the effort to stand up to bullying 2 years ago when I noticed an increase in the number of bullying incidents coming into our office. Whether you have children or not, you should be concerned. Every 7 minutes a child is bullied on a school playground, and over 85% of those instances occur without any intervention. We can make a difference. Here's what we've done so far. In 2010, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office Anti-Bullying Coalition was formed. Their mission? To educate the community on the growing dangers of bullying and to spread the message that bullying will not be tolerated. In 2011, El Paso County Commissioners signed a proclamation proclaiming El Paso County to be a bully-free zone. We've partnered with local school districts and organizations to strengthen our efforts, and now we're hitting the airwaves with the help of the El Paso School District and KTSM News Channel 9.
Bullying stories can be found everywhere. Just about every person has experienced bullying in one form or another.
It can be verbal and include name calling or teasing, social like spreading rumors, physical involving hitting, punching, and shoving.
Bullying at school can happen peer-to-peer, older kids to younger ones, and in some cases even involve a teacher as either a victim or a culprit.
And with today's technology, the problem has also crossed virtual borders. Cyberbullying is now a serious problem that can cause long-term damage to victims and bullies.
Hello and welcome back to another season of Enough, putting an end to bullying in El Paso County. My name is Chief Deputy Eddie Campa with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. We hope that you join us throughout the year as we bring you more information on how to take a stand and fight bullying in El Paso County.
To me, bullying is when somebody hits me and it hurts.
To me, that's an assault, a Class A misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail and/or a fine not to exceed $4,000.
To me, bullying is when someone hurts someone else so bad that it causes them to die.
That is murder, a first-degree felony punishable by imprisonment in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for life, or from 5 to 99 years, and/or a fine not to exceed $10,000.
Well, Judge, thank you for joining us on Enough. It's a pleasure to have you here, and what we'd like to do is we'd like for you to tell us a little bit about the proclamation you signed back in 2011, proclaiming the school year 2012 a bully-free school year.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on the show, and I have to say, just right off the bat, I'm really grateful to the Sheriff's Department for all that the department has done to take a lead on bullying and to make sure that you raise the profile of the consequences, because it really is a very serious issue. We supported the proclamation because it is such a serious issue. You know, what we have seen, not just in our community, but across the state and across the nation, is some very serious, violent cases of bullying and the impact that bullying has had on the self-esteem of mostly teenagers and the self-esteem of young people, to the point where they have committed suicide or there have been acts of violence. And it really takes a lot of leadership and for the community to stand up and say, we really have to acknowledge what's going on. And that was the purpose of the proclamation. We have to acknowledge the fact that this exists in our community, in our state, in our nation, and we have to talk about it openly so that we can come up with solutions for our kids.
Right. That's perfect, Judge. You know, and we're glad that the county took the lead on signing the proclamation. We brought the city in, and you know, we made it a safe year. But what we'd like to do is let everybody know that it wasn't just for a year. You know, the proclamation was signed for the year. However, this is something that we're going to keep doing forever, and just let people know that bullying will not be tolerated. As we were talking a little while ago, Judge, you mentioned you have 2 teenage kids.
I do. You
know, and one of the things from knowing you and seeing you around and how you are with your family, you're a very tight-knit family. You spend a lot of time with your children. And on some of the shows, what we do is we always tell parents how important that is. Can you elaborate a little bit on how important, because we kind of seem to have lost that, you know, the family time. it's rare when families sit together for dinner and stuff like that. But how important is that, and how is the relationship with your kids as far as that they come and talk to you and stuff?
It's so important, and it's so difficult. You know, both of my kids are involved in activities, especially my high school son. He's involved in so much that it's sometimes hard for all of us to connect. And sometimes he doesn't get home until after 7 p.m. or sometimes he gets home at 5:30 and he's got to go to a driver's ed class, or he's got to go to an orchestra performance, or my daughter has an orchestra performance, or she has to go do a group project with a friend. And so with busy families, and my husband works, I work, I'm very involved with the community. The busier the family is, and when you have really busy families, it's super hard to connect. It's hard to have a set time for dinner. It's hard to have a set time for everyone to be together. So you've got to really make those times. You've got to turn, or what we try to do is we try to turn events into opportunities for us to be together. And the reason why it's important, I think, especially for parents of teenage kids, to spend time with their children, that's when you notice changes in mood. That's when you notice that they might be a little bit depressed, or something might have happened at school. And if you're not spending time with your kids, it's harder to detect changes within them. And when kids are bullied, you will detect a change. Or if you notice aggressive behavior in your own child, that's spending time with them is when you can detect it. And if you have a close relationship with your kids, they are more likely to open up to you. And you know, it's hard, I think, for parents of teenagers to get your kids to open up. And you know, my kids really value their privacy and they want their independence, and so being close really helps us to sit down and talk. And what's wrong? And did something happen at school today? Are you okay? Is everything okay? And those, you know, the middle school years and the years right before it and the years right after it, I think, are the most critical.
Right. You know, we've been doing the show for about a year now, Judge, I believe, and it seems like the common denominator every time we have a guest, it's always about communication and having that open line of communication with your teenager. Now, of course, we know that you know, bullying it's not only in the high school teenager years, it goes up to the adult era, it goes up to, you know,
Yes.
our young children and stuff like that. And we had mentioned that, you know, sometimes there's certain things that we do to tolerate that. There's certain aspects of bullying that are tolerated, but then
Right.
there's always, we need to know when we cross that line.
Right.
You know, what are a couple of the things that maybe you have done when you were back in high school or stuff like that? I mean, is there any stories where you were bullied? Were you bullied? I think we've all done it.
Yes.
You know, innocently. Sometimes it expands. But are there any stories you'd like to share with us or anything?
You know, I can't think of anything, only because it was 500 years ago when I was in high school. And you're absolutely right. There can be adult bullies. I know several. Maybe I've been called one. I don't know.
Well, you do sit on Commissioner's Court, right?
Right, exactly. Maybe as a body, you know, we bully people. But, you know, I can remember periods of time when I didn't feel good about my peers, both ways. When I probably was not very good to my peers, and certainly when my peers were not very good to me. And we were talking a little bit before the show that I think it's especially bad with girls. You know, there's several books out on the market, I've purchased some, about girls during their middle school years. And it is a really tough time, I think, for young women, because their bodies are changing, their emotions are up and down and all around, and they're not equipped to deal with the stress of all of that. And sometimes they lash out. And so I'm certain that, you know, that I was not good to people, and I know that people were not good to me. And I think that's why it's so important for us to understand what our kids are going through so that we can help them through those tough periods. I think what else is really, really important is that we celebrate differences. I know that sounds so cliche, and it's been said over and over and over again. But I think bullying comes fundamentally from a feeling of insecurity. So when you're feeling insecure about who you are, then I think more than likely you will feel unfriendly towards people who are different from you. And so we've got a long way to go in that direction, but we've got to start focusing on that.
Right. Well, Judge, once again, I know you're very busy, and I'm glad that you had a few minutes to come out here and spend a couple of minutes with us to go over this.
My pleasure.
There's a lot of things I would love to still sit here and talk about. One of the things, just really quick, Judge, if you can look out there, a lot of people look at you as a role model. I know I do. I mean, you've accomplished a lot in your lifetime. Just one quick piece of advice to all those women that are looking at you, that are moms and stuff. One piece of advice you can give them on how to deal with bullying if their kids are being bullied.
You mentioned it earlier, communication. We have to talk to each other as parents. We've got to rely on each other as parents, especially as moms, working moms. I think there's added pressure on working moms, but we've got to talk to our kids. We've got to make sure that we not just talk to our kids, but that we talk to the parents of our kids' friends, so that all those lines of communication are open, so that if something bad happens, it's not swept under the rug. It's something that's confronted immediately, so that you can talk about it and get past it, but more importantly, learn from it.
Perfect. Judge, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
To me, bullying is when someone uses a weapon to cause me injury.
To me, that is aggravated assault, a second-degree felony punishable by imprisonment in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice from 2 to 20 years and/or a fine not to exceed $10,000.
To me, bullying is when someone retaliates and takes someone else's life because they reported an abuse or an assault to the police.
To me, that is capital murder, an offense punishable by imprisonment in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for life without parole or death.
On November 29th, 2012, the El Paso County Sheriff's Anti-Bullying Coalition held an anti-bullying rally at Pebble Hills Elementary. The entire student body, as well as the staff and parents, participated by wearing the official Bullying Coalition t-shirts. The shirts were purchased with funds provided by the parent-teacher organization and the parents themselves. The main speaker for the rally was Sheriff Richard Wiles.
And I see a great group of kids, but I want you to turn and look at your neighbor and notice that they don't look like you, right? Their skin's darker, it's lighter, their hair's lighter, it's darker, you're taller, you're thinner, right? I got them all riled up here. Right? We're all different people, aren't we? But that's a great thing. That's what makes life so interesting, is that we're all different. We all have our own things that we like and what we don't like, right? We're all different.
The sheriff spoke with the children about equality and how it's okay to be different and how all people are different and unique. The community services section of the sheriff's office was on hand to give bullying presentations and brought along the department mascot, Deputy Dog, and McGruff, the crime dog. The sheriff's office parade vehicles were also in display for those attending the rally to see. Associate Superintendent Dr. Miller was also in attendance to speak to the parents and children on the issues of bullying at the school.
I've probably seen most of you in your classrooms because I like to visit your classrooms, visit with your teachers, and I've been in the classrooms of probably most of you from Indian Ridge and Desert View too at one time or another. So I know we have a lot of great students here. I know that sometimes we do things we shouldn't do, but I know this is a great group of students. Now, I want you to know something about me. I have lived my whole life with one rule above all other rules. And you know what that rule is? The golden rule. Do you know what the golden rule is? How many of you know what the golden rule is? Raise your hand. Great. That means you always treat other people the way you want to be treated.
The cheerleading team, the choir, and the drama club all performed in the rally. The rally was a huge success, and we look forward to having more anti-bullying rallies at schools across the county to spread the message that bullying will not be tolerated in our county.
Hello, my name is Carlos Whitkey. I'm a sergeant with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, and I'm honored here today to be here interviewing Mayor Cook. And Mayor Cook, thank you very much for your time. I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to help us out with this very important issue that we have here in El Paso.
It's my pleasure.
Mayor Cook, as you know, we recently signed a proclamation with the city and with the county back in 2011 for the El Paso County Anti-Bullying Coalition, and it involves many organizations from around the city. And like I said, the county and the city both signed a proclamation agreeing to make El Paso bully-free. Can you tell us a little bit about why the city decided to sign the declaration and join the coalition, and the importance of that to the city?
Well, the main reason is that bullying is a very serious problem. I mean, it can ruin a child's life by being bullied. Gives them poor performance in school. We had a recent case where a kid committed suicide because he was being bullied. It can ruin a kid's family life at home. I mean, to where they're afraid to talk to their parents about being bullied. So it's only right that local governments like the city of El Paso and the county of El Paso get involved in it. And even if it's just something symbolic like a proclamation, letting people know that we're serious, that we do take bullying serious, and that we take the solution seriously.
El Paso is consistently rated amongst the safest cities in El Paso year after year. We attribute that to many things. However, we're still not immune from having bullying incidents in our schools. What do you think can be done to curb bullying from happening in our schools and in our community?
You know, every child in this country has a right to an education, and no child has the right to deprive another child of that education. That's the number one belief that I think we have in the United States and that we have in El Paso. So if people who allow somebody else to be bullied are just cowards themselves. They need to step up and say, you know what, class, we shouldn't be putting up with what Joey's doing or what Carlos is doing. We it's the people. Or that there's strong
The bullying decrease is not seen.
Four times bullying at the 20. One
now, third grader life is only pick school happened took
the school child
there's amount to the